Today on CityCast Portland, we're talking about some of the best hidden perks you can get with your library card, the proposed ballot measure that could redirect a ton of money from the city's climate fund to pay for police, and what to expect now that the decade-long $2 billion renovation is finally finished at PDX. I'm your host, Claudia Meza, and with me are KBOO News Director Althea Billings and our very own senior producer, Giulia Fiaoni. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey Claudia. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. It's always a pleasure having you both on. As you both know, we like to kick things off around here with an opening question, usually based on a local news headline to help any new listeners get to know our contributors and guests a little better. And here's what I have for y'all. Last Wednesday, the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department announced that more than 80 libraries across the state are now offering parking passes to explore parks, meaning you can go to the library and check out a parking pass and then go to any state park and you don't have to pay that $10 fee. Now, the goal of the program is to expand access to our beautiful state parks, and now Oregonians of all income levels can check out those they're like actual physical hang tag passes like they would a library book. Each of the libraries hold up to 4 parking passes. This means 200 parking permits are now available across 82 library locations. The catch here, though, is that Multnomah County is not part of this program. The only participating counties are Washington, Clackamas, Baker, Benton, Clatsop, Columbia, and Coos. I'm like, how do they pick? And they were just like closeness to parks, to like state parks and interest. And I was like, I don't know, we'd be interested. So the pass does not cover registration fees for special events, tours, or overnight camping. All this came about after the Parks Department announced that 22 more state parks would require permits starting March 30th. That is something that I loved about Oregon when I first moved here, so many years ago, was how everything was free, you know? But anyhow, no word of Multnomah will ever be part of the lineup, but it made me want to look up what non-book items you can check out of MoCo libraries. I'm just going to say MoCo because I'm cool. And here's what I found. They have a thing called the Discovery Pass, which gets you free access to all kinds of cool attractions and museums in town, like the Portland Japanese Garden or the Opera, even Rose City Comic Con, which is like, that's an expensive, pass.
What?
Yeah.
Dang.
There are free maker spaces you can reserve that have sewing machines, 3D printers, laser cutters, sticker makers, just all this stuff. And there's also a ton of online resources that you could use for free, including Ancestry.com, movie and TV streaming apps, I know, language learning apps, and so much more. So, no free parking passes, but there's a lot of non-traditional items and services you have access to for free using your library card here at Multnomah County, including free printing, which I think is pretty cool. Also, hack, I heard, I don't know if this is true, supposedly if you look for airplane tickets in the library, it's supposed to be cheaper because they have like one of those kind of like undercover VPNs because it's a library. So everything has to be super secure. And price tackers don't get you. Yeah.
Dang. That's crazy. Shout out the library.
Right? My question to you both is, what would you love to see at the library? To check out. That isn't a book. That isn't this parking pass. You can't say this parking pass because me too.
I know you just listed off a ton of things. And initially, I was trying to think about, okay, like what is someone who's going to the library to rent a book or a movie, whatever, what else do they do for fun? And my mind immediately went to other types of like solo activities like baking and crafting. And it would be super cool to be able to rent out a sewing machine or a dough mixer or even just like a hole punch. Things that you don't need to buy because you're only doing crafts a couple times a year. So that was my more practical idea. And then I went down a rabbit hole and I started to think about more obscure things that only you could rent or services that you can only get in Portland that maybe the library would manage. And I thought of to reserve somebody to stand in line for you. So if you have brunch plans on a Sunday, you could go to the library, go to their portal. They have a whole portal of folks. They have different profiles talking about how they're going to stand in line for you. And you just reserve a person to go stand in line at brunch or at a concert. And they'll keep you updated. You just show up, swap places, good to go. It takes care of the whole line problem. And I think the library would be the one to manage this. Thoughts on this? Anyone? Good idea, bad idea?
Not to be that guy, but isn't that just called making reservations? Like if you're going to go to the library and be like, I want to rent a guy to go stand somewhere for me.
Yeah. You can't. These brunch spots are no reservation. You got to be in person, in line. Come on, Althea. Are you even a Portlander? We love to hate on standing in line. Why don't you just get someone to do it for you? Pay them. Make them feel great about it.
I never stand in line.
I never stand in line. I think that's
I just go somewhere else. That's your fucking thing right there, Julia. Oh,
that's also, the universe telling you, leave.
Yeah, go somewhere else. There's lines because people like you, Julia, because you all decide that's going to be your fate that day.
Your next favorite pop-up. It's the one and only time you can get that dumpling. Come on.
Have
so
fun.
Many scenarios.
Have fun.
Anyway.
I'm not paying. My taxpayer dollars are not going to somebody standing in line for you, Julia. Whimsy or not, denied. What about you, Althea?
Okay. But in that genre of things that I would love to have access to, but don't necessarily have the energy or the means to pursue it myself, what if the library had a boat, guys?
A boat. Oh,
think about it.
Now you're thinking. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
No, dude, that's awesome. If they had like little sailing boats that you could check out at the library and they're like docked at the whatever, in Willamette.
Yeah.
Like the Willamette docks.
Like at OMSI or something.
I just want to go for a little, I just want to to dick around out there just for a little bit, and then somebody else can have a turn. I don't want to be in charge of this damn thing. It's a terrible investment.
Just the first drowning and it's out. So no one. Okay, guys.
Fuck.
We all have to promise not to drown.
Jesus.
Wait.
So we don't ruin it for everyone.
Life jackets.
Yeah.
You should be able to check out life jackets from the library.
Oh, of course. But some idiot's not going to be wearing theirs because they're too cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Mine is musical instruments.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea.
It's a great idea.
Because, sometimes you're like, do I want to play the saxophone? And you're like, I don't even know how to play, like,
all the time.
And then you could check it out, and you're just like, wait, I don't want to play the saxophone.
I never even held one of these damn things. They're heavy as hell.
Yeah, do I want to be a trumpet player? And then you could check it out and be like, oh, no, I do not want to. I just think that it would save you money at the end. Like, and also,
Absolutely.
like, if you're a little kid, thinking about band, I feel like everyone did band. It's just such a cool way for you to figure out, like, what instrument you should pick up rather than just going clarinet like we all did,
Right. Mm-hmm. Opportunity to look in the mirror and say, I can't be a trumpet person. I look ridiculous holding this.
Yeah. And we're like,
you need that moment.
I'm more of a French horn kind of guy.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, thank you both for your answers. Let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, everybody wants that sweet, sweet PSEF money.
A serious injury, catastrophic crash, or wrongful death can change your life in an instant. The legal path forward can be daunting, especially when the responsible party is a powerful entity. That's why having experienced advocates on your side makes all the difference. At Diamore Law Group, you're not just a number. You're someone with a team of attorneys committed to securing you full justice and working to ensure a safer Oregon for all. Led by veteran attorney Tom Diamore, the firm has spent more than 30 years standing up to corporations, negligent drivers, and corrupt organizations. Conducting thorough investigations, working with leading experts, and taking cases all the way through trial. All at no cost unless they win. Contact Diamore Law Group at 503-222-6333 or visit diamorelaw.com for a free consultation. The cases that matter the most are the hardest to win, and that's exactly why they take them.
Althea, you have some reporting about a controversial ballot proposal that's looking like it might make our November ballot. What's going on here?
Yeah, so Anusha Fathapour at The Oregonian talked about this. The deadline to submit signatures for things to show up as an initiative on the Portland ballot just passed. And one of those is what's called the Safer Portland Initiative, or the Enhanced Community Safety Initiative, which wants to take 25% of the Portland Clean Energy Fund's total revenue every year and give that to the police department to hire more cops. And if you've heard about this recently, it's kind of been mired in controversy, partly because there's dozens of ethics complaints about the way that these signatures were gathered at the Secretary of State, that possibly the information that the canvassers were giving out or were instructed to give out was false, or said that it was going to fund stuff that it wouldn't fund and things like that. So they've now submitted 62,000 signatures or something like that, which is about 20,000 more than you actually need. So right now, Multnomah County is in the process of validating those. But with those kind of numbers, it is likely going to show up on the ballot. And this is something that I have been, paying attention to just because of this larger context that plays into both how we got the Portland Clean Energy Fund and why it is that Portland police want more, or Portland police supporters, the PPA, the police union, put a bunch of money towards this, as did, local, I don't know, he's an auto mogul, right? Jeff Swickard put money towards this. The chief petitioner is Bob Simrill, a former city council candidate. And really what they're campaigning on is that we want to better our police response times. And there's data that came from the city recently that shows that police response times are not great right now. They're looking kind of bad. And this is at the same time that we just recently got the data back that 911 call response times have drastically improved from being kind of also in the hole. So their pitch is basically give us what is going to equate to around $50 million to just hire more officers. They say that Portland doesn't have the same staffing ratio. It's a lower staffing ratio on average than other cities have. And that's true. And that's what they want to do. They want to take the PSEF money to do all of that. I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
I think the connection between 911 response time calls, the wait for that going down, and police actually showing up and doing their job taking a lot longer these days is really interesting, because there has been a lot of research done that shows that there is a lot of space for the police bureau to be hiring more folks if they need to, and that altogether that may not even be the issue. It may not even be a staffing problem. So that all considered, it makes me wonder why. Why do we need to put more money into this to solve this problem if there are opportunities to do that already? And on the other end of that, with PSEF specifically, because there's such an abundance of cash, why isn't it already being spent on things that it was meant to go to? That's the other part of this too, because of course there's going to be different bureaus chomping at the bit to get at this money if it looks like it's not being spent for what it's supposed to be used for. Those are the two ends of the spectrum for me. It's like, even if we give you this money, will it even fix the issue at hand? And why isn't it being spent on other things? And
it is being spent. That's the thing. There's been this narrative for so long because PSEF made so much more money than people thought that it was going to make. There was a period of time where there was more money than there was, grants going out the door. That's not the case now. PSEF money is committed, I think, for the next 5 years. They have made grants. And so if this passes, there are clean energy projects and sustainability things, climate justice items that PSEF is supposed to be funding, that is, supposed to target frontline communities that will not get the funding that they have been pushing for.
Julia, what is that research? What are you talking about? Because you're like, there's research saying that they have...
Yeah, there's a difference of perspective here. And this was actually something I read in our newsletter. One of our producers, Rachel Monahan, put it in there. It was some reporting by The Oregonian talking about how there are police-affiliated leaders that are saying, we need more money to hire more people. And then there are more progressive leaders who are saying you have enough to hire, that the money isn't the issue. So there is like a complete difference of opinion here. And it's funny that PSEF is right at the middle of it. But Althea, you bring a great point. Like, that's the thing, is that's where I was boiling down to, is like, it's more of the perception of how it's being spent now than anything else, because of the reputation that PSEF has had versus like what's actually happening.
And I want to also clarify, this is the PSEF money that we're speaking of. It's the actual fund.
It's the actual fund.
Not the interest, right? Because when we had Councilor Angelita Moria on, she was talking about using the interest to fund more frontline workers of PSEF. Which progressives, like, they seem to be fine with. Okay, the interest is fine. But this is different because they're saying, hey, we want X amount of the actual fund every year just to go to police. And so that's the controversy right there. So this is almost like not a completely different tangent. It's like on the same line of like, do we need more police officers, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but I know I've always heard this other talking point of like, we don't need more police officers. What makes streets safer are actual more people on the streets, which is true. But is it true we don't need more police officers? So I was looking at historically who has had the least amount of police officers and crime and all that. And according to the Oregon Criminal Justice Truth Project, which is like a nonprofit organization that provides research on Oregon's public safety system, they found that Portland ranks 47th out of the 50 largest U.S. cities in officers per capita. I think, Althea, you were talking about that. Specifically, Portland Police Bureau currently has about 1.26 officers per 1,000 residents, which the national average is 2.4 officers per 1,000 residents, right? So just so you guys know where the numbers are. And also historically, Washington, Oregon, and West Virginia have had historically low numbers of local officers. That's just so you know, those are just number facts. Now, if you look into the research where you're going to these two schools of thought, like one claiming that no, the numbers aren't there, and the other saying, you know, yes, more police equals less crime, right? Mm-hmm. When you do a quick check on the parameters for these studies, this is what's crazy. I found that all the conclusions that landed were practically saying the same thing, but wording it differently. So their political point was kind of shined on. So essentially, both studies found that more cops don't necessarily mean less crime if they're not being strategically deployed. So in order to have these special task forces, which is what like actually does help, these more preventative crime teams, more community outreach, you do need a certain baseline number of police officers that are able to respond to 911 calls effectively. And currently, Portland doesn't have those numbers. But I think the genuine concern a lot of Portlanders are having about more police, and we're not talking PSEF money or whatever, but just like the idea of like more police. Because let's say they find another funding source. I think they're going to be fought again. I think police, you know what I mean? Like proponents who want more police are going to get fought again, no matter where they're getting the funding. And it's because no one's saying this out loud. A lot of communities see the police as poorly trained bullies or like flat out racist or incompetent at their jobs. And the thought of more poorly trained bullies or just flat out racist or incompetent police officers doesn't make anyone feel safer. And I think what needs to happen is like, I think that the political movement to get more police officers or whatever need to meet the communities who are just like, we don't need any more bullies at that philosophical junction. And Chief Day is clearly trying, but assurance that includes like actual funding for more accountability and better training could help all of this like public safety PACs and orgs make their case, and money asks just a little less controversial. Because like I said, we do need more police officers, but we don't need any more bad police officers that are going to cost citizens their life or city lawsuits. And I think that is the thing we're not really talking about.
I have a couple things to add to that, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
One, I want to highlight, this is reporting that Street Roots did in 2024. They did a whole series about crime and police. Kay Rambo and Jeremiah Hayden over there did a fabulous job talking about some of this relationship that you're touching on, Claudia. And while there isn't a correlation between having more police and having less crime, when we talk about wanting to have more police, some of what people are talking about is wanting preventative policing. Most of the policing that we have right now is responsive. And that's showing up after something has already happened. The issue with preventative policing and those task forces that you're talking about is that that is a lot of times where you are seeing the racial profiling. That is drug task force. That is stop and search. You know, those are the models that have predominantly existed. And that's where, you know, communities of color have been facing racial bias in policing for so long. And so to take it from this fund that communities of color in Portland put forth to try to fund dealing with the impending climate crisis, to just take a huge chunk out of that, which isn't indexed to a particular number of officers. Like, this is just the amount of money that they want. It's not so that we can hire 200 people. It's not so that we can hire this.
No, it's just so they can have money. Yeah.
They just want to have money. I also want to say the police have not faced any budget cuts since 2020, before Wilson's budget. And this budget this year, no sworn officers' positions were cut. It was all those community safety, unarmed responders, people working the front desk. They lost their jobs. And specific to this ballot measure, this money doesn't go towards people who are unarmed. It doesn't go towards Portland Street Response. It doesn't go towards maybe what we think of as the different versions of community safety that are now existing in Portland. And I just want to validate that there's a lot of kind of like valid reasons that folks might have to distrust the Portland police and what their narratives are. They're still under federal consent decree since 2012 because they kept killing people in mental distress. That was extended in 2021 because of how Portland police abused protesters. There's also Portland police that got on record in 2023 with Bike Portland admitting to lying to city council and the public that they didn't have the funding to enforce any kind of traffic violations. And they said on record that it was like to get council to fund them back up when this sort of defund the police movement was happening. So I just want to bring in, like, that's the context that for some people, that's what this lives in, is the Portland police have the staff that they want to have. I don't know that the council or the mayor or anybody has really refused them anything. Nobody's saying you can't hire more officers. But, to take a big chunk out of a fund that is performing well and doing important work is tough.
Agreed. And thank you for that, like, more context as to what I was saying about, like, there are communities that are just like, we don't need this kind of policing, Or
but we don't need it from you,
Yeah. But what we don't know, actually, Althea, we don't know the firm facts of if they have enough staffing to do their jobs properly. We actually don't know that yet because everything is so obscured. I feel like they're always hiding their cards as to what is needed and what isn't needed. And they're just like, we just need more money. Because if you speak to certain counselors, they're like, no, they have enough staffing. If you look at the numbers, no, they do not. So why aren't they hiring? And like that in itself needs an audit. It's like, do you need more staff? Why aren't you hiring if you need more staff? Is it because you don't have enough money? Let's talk then.
Or is it also that people don't really want to be police officers?
Which is a big deal. It's because nobody wants to wear that shirt now. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a team that everyone's like, oh, I don't know. And like, it keeps people who are like, maybe do want to do well in a community away from that job because they're like, that's not what they're known for here. And like that in itself, that's why I'm just like, that is what needs to change. And that is where money needs to go. And it's restructuring policing in Portland, restructuring how policing happens, and like the accountability of their historical track record, which you just like point by point plotted out, Althea. So, I mean, we are talking about PSF money, but I'm just saying that's the larger conversation here, and this is why it's controversial.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, well, let's take a quick break here, and when we come back, PDX is finally done, and Giulia is going to tell us what that means for your next airport experience. All right, Giulia, you looked into all the things that have been renovated, all of the additions, all of the updates. What's going on at PDX? Do we still have to walk 5 miles to exit our plane and go to Transpo?
Okay, I'm talking airport, y'all. I feel like we love talking about the airport on this show. So my segment comes from some awesome reporting by Jamie Hale at the Oregonian and Garrett Andrews at Willamette Week. And yes, after 11 years and $2.15 billion later, the renovations at PDX are finally done. And apparently, according to the port officials, this is the largest public infrastructure project in Oregon history. It's a huge deal. And from the start, the goal was just modernize the airport, seismic upgrades, reducing the airport's carbon footprint generally, and also just like streamlining that foot traffic, making so that you're not walking for miles to get to your bags and everything in between. And the cool thing is that everything actually finished on time. It came in on budget. I guess it really depends, though, how you look at it, because it was initially a $1.3 billion project across 5 years. And partway through, they said, yeah, we're going to basically double this. So in their minds, it was on time, which is, just fine with me. But
it's just fine with Giulia. It's fine.
I'll let it be a stamp of approval.
Jesus Christ. Go on,
with
Giulia.
the outcome of how amazing it is, whatever, take another 10 years, doesn't matter to me. But it has been getting a lot of really positive press. It was nominated for a prestigious international award. It's ranked at the top of a bunch of international lists. The Washington Post said it was the best airport in the U.S. recently. And this is all because of that, 9-acre wood-beamed ceiling with 49 skylights. These numbers seem ridiculous, but they're true. Most of that wood being sourced locally. Some of that wood doesn't have receipts, according to the Oregonian, but we're just, not going to think about that too much. But the newest upgrades have been really exciting. Aside from a shortened commute around the airport to get to everywhere you need to go, things are a lot more streamlined. A lot of shops have moved from kiosks to proper brick and mortar. Notably, Powell's Books has a full-on store now. Freeland Spirits has a fancy little tasting room, which is fun. There's also a whole fancy lounge called Escape Lounge, rated one of the best in the world. And you don't need to be a part of like a credit card points program. You just need $40, which is super cool. $40, a little steep.
Not
but,
really. If you're going to hang out okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let me say, if you're going to hang out at the airport for some reason, you get there super early or you're like waiting a layover, $40 is what you're going to spend more than $40 drinking and eating at an airport. You just are.
Definitely.
I know that like Portland isn't jacking up the prices, but like $40 because I know they have like drinks and food, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's a full lounge. What you would get from these points program lounges, these, airline branded lounges you get for $40. But, they're doing a lot. They're even giving parts of the airport a facelift that you don't really see. Like they totally redid their lost and found. So it's even easier to find your lost things, which is so cute and thoughtful. There's more art installations. There's fancy new escalators cascading down this like wood beam portal down to baggage claim. So wild. But the biggest and actually most controversial thing is that the arrival exits have changed. So when you get off the plane and you're going to get your bag, where you exit to meet the folks waiting to pick you up has changed. There's north and south exits instead of exiting all together where those amphitheater style seating is. And people are kind of upset about that. I guess people didn't realize that was always supposed to be temporary. And they got really excited, like sitting and waiting in the amphitheater every time with flowers and balloons and getting to see folks welcome their family members and friends back home. That little communal moment is basically, for the most part, gone. Instead, there are just like lounge seating areas by those exits. Seems a lot more chill, but you don't get the whole, hooray of it all. This is where I want some of your opinions on this, because I have a take on this part, but I want to hear you guys. Like, are you sad at all that that's gone? Are you grieving with some other folks?
I'm heartbroken. I'm barely holding it together.
Can I tell you what
So you're a fan?
What I wish they would change is that when you walk out, and this happens all the time, people walk out, right? But they don't know they have to go downstairs to get picked up. So the arrival and the departures are flipped. Like most airports, the floor you get out of is the floor that you freaking get out. You don't have to go all the way down. So like, this is the thing. If you checked in your bag, you're going to be at the floor. But if you didn't check in a bag, you can be the ding dong that walks straight out and is just like, I'm here. While everyone's circling going, I don't see you.
So you're piling on a new gripe that they didn't fix. They just made it look better.
That's what I'm saying. They should have fixed that. That's the main gripe. Do you know how many times I have to, like, when I'm picking up someone, I have to be like, make sure that you're at the bottom floor. It's going to be confusing. Oh, yeah, but I'm heartbroken, too. Yes.
Okay, hot take. I didn't like the amphitheater style greeting moment. You know why? Because my friends are cheap. They're not getting out of the car to meet me.
Exactly.
So there's
Who the hell's
never
getting out of the
anyone
car?
there for me. So it's always like walking past like, oh, how cute is this? You're always a little heartbroken coming back home because there's no greeting group for me. It's just, a little weird. It's weird being stared at by somebody who thinks that you're their loved one and you're not. Everybody's disappointed. So I don't miss it. I like the more chill north and south exit that's happening now.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone.
No, if you're picking me up, they're not even slowing all the way down.
Yeah, your friends.
They say throw the bag in and run. I don't want to stop with these yahoos.
Throw your bag. I've never had the grand welcoming committee.
I love that, like, you're like, they're picking me up like they're dropping me off. I'm tucking and rolling and I'm jumping in.
Yeah, exactly. One more thing I want to mention, just a little bit of the, I don't know, all of this news seems so great. There's some controversy here. There's some things that aren't working that I have to mention. The next thing being, the indoor trees are struggling. Not all of them, but some of them. Those specific ones being the black olive trees. They're starting to, wither away a little bit. They're not doing well.
Not enough sunlight?
So apparently there is enough sunlight because of those, I don't know, 1 million skylights that they built into the ceiling. But there's more than 70 trees. That's a lot to take care of. They did some research and they're like, why are the olive trees not loving
the
this?
black
We're doing
ones?
everything we can.
Why aren't they watering the black ones?
And they discovered that
Sorry, go
people
on.
are, first of all, people suck. They're dumping their coffee into the soil.
Assholes.
As they're going, I don't know where they're going. I don't know why they have coffee. And they're letting their dogs pee on the trees.
These people
No.
need to get fined or put
Shut it
straight
down.
into jail. Like, I don't even
Shut
care.
it down.
Justice
They don't-
system, I don't even want it there. Just go straight
There
to
should
jail.
be a jail at the airport just
Straight
for
to
that.
jail.
There should be
You're
a
letting your
TSA just for
dog-
those trees.
Yeah, you're letting your dogs poop and pee in our beautiful trees. Gross.
I don't know about poo, but definitely pee. And there's no excuse. There's signs. It's become such a problem that there's little signs that say like, don't do that. Knock it off. Because the thing is that they have to maintain like a really, I don't know, like it's a
pH?
temperamental balance with the trees. There's no drainage holes, so you can't even overwater them. Like don't even put water in them because they have specialists coming in multiple times a week to dust the leaves so they can get more light. They're testing the soil. They're pruning the trees. They got it covered. Leave the trees alone or they're gonna die. But those are all the PDX news updates from this week. I'm sure there'll be more as people are getting settled in and as more passengers are actually visiting the airport. Another thing about these updates is that they did it so they could double their capacity at the airport. Now they're anticipating twice as many, so 35 million annual passengers by 2045. So another thing to, I guess, look forward to. Not really, but, we got to share the nice things that we have.
Well, thanks, Julia. I appreciate you. Have you gone yet?
Not since the final finishes. I'm really looking forward to next time I get to go. I fucking love the airport, so it's going to be great.
Does the Lorax speak for the airport trees or just the ones that are outside, do you think?
That's the real story here. All right, we're going to wrap it up now, Althea.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Cut that. I hate that I said it.
Oh, man. Well, you guys, I appreciate you all hanging out with me. Thank you so much for being here. I'm looking forward to checking out the airport. I still have my gripe about it. I think it's a dumb design.
Oh.
It's a fair gripe.
Come on, it's a fair gripe. But I'm curious. I also, you know what I love though? All of these TikToks of all the people visiting our city and our airport, and everyone's freaking out. They're just like, they cannot believe how beautiful our airport is. Even though it low-key looks like an Apple store, but whatever. It's still very nice.
Whoa.
Oh, I can't even get into that. Why did you say that?
All right. Well, thanks, you guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Claudia.
Thank you.
That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, share it with a friend. That's how people learn about us. And don't forget, you can also support the show and get great perks like ad-free listening by becoming a CityCast Portland neighbor. Just visit membership.citycast.fm for all the info. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's or at the airport.
Yay. Don't pee in the trees.
Yeah, not peeing in the trees for sure.